What's going on, Star Wars fans? My name is John with Starwarsnet77, and this is your Star Wars news and collecting news for the first week of September 2013. In recent news, Disney announced a new animated series that will be aired on Disney XD, which will come out fall of 2014. They haven't shown any trailers, so I don't really know what it looks like at this point, although they have showed development screenshots of the show so far. They showed it at Star Wars Celebration Europe 2 recently. The screenshots and what the drawings look very similar to Macquarie and kind of his artwork and format. So it's safe to say that the artwork will kind of resemble Macquarie, which is pretty cool. It will take place after Revenge of the Jedi and before New Hope, which is about 2 decades worth of kind of to fill in the gap. I'm really excited for this. The best part is Dave Filoni, who worked on the Clone Wars, will be back to help be the executive producer for the show. So that is good news for Star Wars fans. Speaking of Clone Wars, Season 6 is still up in the air as to whether that Season 6 will ever come out. A lot of people are saying Season 6 will be the best of all the seasons so far. Maybe Disney will release them in a Blu-ray pack, who knows, but it will not be released on Cartoon Network since Disney considers Cartoon Network a competitor. So perhaps we'll see it on the Disney Channel, perhaps we'll see it on a Blu-ray or a DVD combo pack, who knows. Perhaps they'll release it online. Either way, we hope to see Season 6 of the Clone Wars. Into collecting news, Hasbro. I love Hasbro and I hate Hasbro for multiple reasons. I've been a huge fan of Hasbro for many years now, collecting the 3 3/4 inch. They did release the 3 3/4 inch Black series that came out last month. Finally been able to find them in shelves, thankfully. And these are really cool figures. I must say the attention to detail is great. They retail for $9.99 for the 3 3/4 inch. They do have a 6-inch version of these as well, with different figures, obviously. Those retail for $19.99. More geared for and marketed for the collectors, which is obvious. Several other 3 3/4 inch figures more geared towards the younger audience. Those are both the Mission series as well as the Saga Legends series. The Mission series actually has 2 packs, so they come in 2 packs, and they retail for $9.99. You get 2 figures for the price of 1. And the Saga Legends series comes with 1 figure, and I believe that retails for $6.99. I noticed these figures don't have much articulation, more they bend at the elbows and the knees. It has very basic and simple articulation. The quality of these figures do not look very good. In fact, they don't come with many accessories, so if you're a collector, this might be a line you want to skip. It's more geared for the kid audience or the younger audience. The quality of Hasbro, as in a nutshell, has gone down. In my personal opinion, it's a shame because I did a review recently on their new 12-inch figures or what they call figures, but they're really just a bunch of cheap plastic they've thrown together. They're not just doing this with Star Wars line, they're doing it with Marvel. They're doing it with G.I. Joe, Transformers, all that. And it's really a shame because I really like Hasbro. I want to see them do well. I know sales are down for Hasbro, but they're just not putting the time and effort into the development of some quality figures. So hopefully Hasbro gets their act together. I think they're doing some good stuff with the Black Series. I'm really excited for that. The vehicles also look great. They've discontinued the vintage line. They made an announcement last year, although you can see various lines of vintage vehicles coming out. I'll explain more about that later in this video where you can find those. They're going to be exclusives. Another line that they discontinued is called the Movie Heroes line, which is their kind of greenback with a Yoda. They did release this in Europe and other parts of the world. The United States did not see these come out. We did see some of the vehicles come out. We saw some of the vehicle packs and stuff with figures come out, but none of the 3 3/4 inch standalone figures came out. And that's really a shame because these figures look pretty cool. I'm sure you can get them on eBay, sites like that, but you'll be paying a pretty penny if you want to get them in the United States. Speaking of the new Mission and Saga line figures by Hasbro, in Japan they've been spotted a blind box collection. So basically you can buy these figures in a box. It's called blind box because you don't necessarily know what figure you're getting, which is kind of interesting. So you can find these have been spotted in Japan. I'm not quite sure the retail value and or price of these or what they sell for, but if I'm buying a figure, I kind of want to know what I'm looking for. It works great with cards and whatnot. Figures, in my personal opinion, work a little bit different. Also, on to more Hasbro news. They continue to release the Angry Birds line. They're really pushing this line for Angry Birds. I think Angry Birds and Star Wars itself is a really poor crossover. It doesn't really translate very well, in my personal opinion. These are shelf warmers, in my personal opinion, as well. I go to stores, I see these all the time. They did an exclusive at Comic-Con where they released a multiple pack exclusive. Didn't sell very well. In fact, you can find a plethora of these online, and they're not, the secondhand value is not very good. And that's just a reflection on the interest, at least on the collector standpoint. Maybe kids love these Angry Birds. I personally think Hasbro should move on and focus on perhaps other more detailed figures, like the Black Series, of course. Going on to more news about where you can find some upcoming exclusive Star Wars action figures and vehicles. Amazon recently signed a deal with Hasbro, which this is great news, guys. They are bringing back the Build-A-Droid series. Now, this was a canceled line initially, and Amazon has stepped up to the plate and is making these figures available. Figures that are going to be in this line, and they go for $59.99, so pretty much $60. You get these following figures. You get the FA4 droid, which is the first, it's never come out before, this is the first edition. You get the TIE Fighter, you get the Sand Trooper, Battle Droid, the 12th Battalion Clone Trooper, as well as Sun Fac, which is Geonosian Warrior. These are really cool looking figures, just like the past Build-A-Droid sets. They do come with parts and pieces to build your own droid. So you collect them all, you can build another figure. I think this is a great idea. I love the package design on these. It's great that Amazon stepped up to the plate. You can pick these up for pretty much $10 a pop, $60 for 6 of them. Definitely worth checking out. Other Amazon exclusives that Hasbro is offering through Amazon, Slave One, Empire Strikes Back vintage vehicle. This retails for $70 or $69.99. And again, it looks very vintage and retro. It looks like you would find back in the early 80s. Really cool looking box and vehicle. And the Return of the Jedi TIE Interceptor is also available through Amazon exclusively. That's going to retail for $50. So you can get those 3 different items. You get the 2 vehicles plus the 6 figures through Amazon only. Definitely check it out. And the cool thing about Amazon is in most cases they offer free shipping, which is pretty stellar. In my previous video, I talked about some exclusives that were available only at Star Wars Celebration 2 in Europe. And some of those include a really cool Star Wars themed soccer ball or football, as most of the world call it, and some soccer shirts, football shirts, stuff like that, really cool. Some t-shirts, really cool. One of the items that seems to be really popular are the Star Tots. So these are really cool, almost metal pin-like figures that are available through the collector panels. So basically these collector panels were about 300 people or more. They did this at Star Wars Celebration 6 in Orlando last year where I attended, and I personally saw how popular these things were. The secondhand market, these things are selling for $30 a pop or more. They come with a cool cardboard display case as well, very vintage looking. The cool thing about the Star Wars Celebration 2 Europe versions are their tri-logo. Okay, so you get things like Yak Face and several other characters. There's 15 in total, so that means there's 15 panels, and these things are hotcakes. They're very, very popular. And it was one thing that was kind of disappointing, at least from my experience at Star Wars Celebration 6, when I'm sure it happened in Europe as well, is that people came to these panels only for the Star Tots. And like midway, they basically hand these Star Tots out after the panel. And seriously, midway through the panel, people would be start lining up out the door just to get one of these. It was limited one per person, of course, and everyone who had a seat would get one. But they didn't understand that, and they were kind of rude, and people were still talking to the panel, and they leave the panel and start lining up. I thought that was extremely rude. Check them out. They are Star Tots, which is based on, I guess, an unreleased or maybe a limited line that came out, vintage line that came out back in the 70s and 80s. I mentioned earlier about the vintage vehicles available through Amazon. Well, I was recently at Toys R Us, and I picked up this bad boy right here. And this is the Biggs Lightyear X-Wing. This retails for $60 US dollars. Very cool. I love the look. It's got a very cool vintage look to it. Both look the same pretty much front and back. And it's got the nice seal of Toys R Us seal. So it is a Toys R Us exclusive. If you have a Toys R Us nearby, you can also get it online. Check it out. It's a Biggs X-Wing. Okay, so a little bit different than Luke's X-Wing as far as the color patterns go, but very cool vehicle indeed. In my previous news video, I mentioned about AFX, Action Figure Exchange website, and their exclusive 3-pack of Gentle Giant's 12-inch figures that they're coming out with. These figures are the following: Power Droid, or Gonk Droid, as many of us call it, R5-D4 Droid, and Death Star Droid. These are 12-inch scale, so they're 3-pack, look very similar to the classic vintage 3-packs that we saw in the 70s and 80s. This thing is huge. Well, at the time of the announcement when I made that, they didn't have it for sale. It is for sale now, and I believe these are limited to about 150 or so. That's what I've heard anyway, that they're going to make total. So it's going to be super limited. Retails for $200, but you get all 3 figures. So each figure itself retails about $80. Okay, so you're saving some money. You're saving about $40 or $60 on that. It comes with a cool exclusive backdrop as well. So this is cool. If you're into the 12-inch Gentle Giant vintage jumbo figures like I am, this is definitely a set you want to check out. The hard thing is, a lot of people, collectors, are complaining about is how are you going to display this thing. This thing's going to be monstrous. And it comes out in October. Speaking of Gentle Giant, they have also made another announcement of some exclusive figures. They announced a holiday Yoda coming out this holiday season. This is based on the McQuarrie sketch, and Yoda is wearing a Santa suit. So this is kind of cool. It's cool that Gentle Giant is kind of going outside the norm and releasing a vintage style on cardback with Yoda and holiday Santa suit. So check that out. That retails for $80. You have to be a guild member in order to purchase it. As I mentioned before, guild member is definitely worth it if you're into these things or anything Gentle Giant, because it costs about $80 for the year. But you get a free figure, an exclusive figure for doing that. So basically it's free. And you get about 10% off each of your purchases. So it's definitely worth checking out. And you get points you can accumulate for other prizes as well, which is great. So definitely check out the Yoda Holiday Santa special figure coming out this holiday season. Comic-Con also recently happened about a month or so ago, and Gentle Giant had a whole bunch of exclusive. They announced they had this one right here. This is the Yak Face 12-inch figure. This comes with a coin and everything like that. It comes with a staff. This is also available through the Guild, so you can get it online. Retails for $80. As of today, they still have these available on their website if you're interested in purchasing this Yak Face. Yak Face, if you guys didn't know or unaware, is one of the hardest figures to find vintage-wise because it was only available in Canada and Europe, never released in North America for some reason, and it's one of the last figures produced on the Power of the Force, the original Power of the Force line. Star Wars Celebration 2 in Europe, they had this. This is limited to 300. Only 3 of these were made, and this is different. This is the Tri-logo Yak Face. It doesn't come with a coin, doesn't come with the staff, as the original Tri-logo did not come with either of those, so it holds true to that. This thing is cool. They did have these available for the Guild members as well online. They sold out really quickly. This is no longer available, only limited to 300. I'm not sure how many of the Power of the Force Yak Face they had available, but those are still available. This one is sold out, unfortunately. Other Comic-Con exclusives that Gentle Giant announced and had there was a McQuarrie designed C-3PO based on McQuarrie's sketch that retailed for $75. Only 1,008 of those were available. Very cool looking bust. They also had Magnitude Admiral Ackbar, and this is a mini bust, retailed for $175. Only 500 of these were available. Sold out super quick. It's Admiral Ackbar in kind of an old naval suit, kind of a crossover, very cool expanded universe Admiral Ackbar. Another mini bust they had was very popular and sold out was a Boba Fett Deluxe mini bust. They call it Deluxe. You can change the arms out in the positioning. It retails for $150, and they made 2,500 of these. So a lot more of these available because it's Boba Fett, and it's still very, very popular. Well, guys, that concludes my Star Wars news for the first week of September 2013. If you guys want to stay in touch, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I'll put links below. Both are under Starwarsnut77. Thanks for leaving a comment. Of course, thanks for subscribing, sharing this video. May the Force be with you. Take care.